So yeah, welcome to the Formula Podcast, where we discuss everything business. We demystify the entrepreneurship journey, basically. And I'm RJ Deed, Content Factory Media Group.
And I'm Gary Luima, First Step Legal.
Yep, and we have our guest today. Have Gary introduce our guest.
Our guest is a mental health professional, and I'm going to let her speak a lot about herself, Ms. Jessica Jefferson.
Good morning to the people. Hey, my name is Jessica Jefferson. I go by the Superheroes Therapist. I help other healers and helpers heal. The people that I work with have been invisibly injured in their purpose lane and have decided to stay the course. So they're firefighters, first responders, therapists, women who wanted to have children, got married and found out they couldn't, and are deciding no matter what happens, the course that they got injured on, the course that they have begun to trot is their course, and they're going to make it their own regardless of how it's impacted them.
That's what's up. That's what's up right there.
It's powerful.
Yeah, that's really powerful because it's like you're serving the people that's serving everyone else, but never have time to like you know how people say, "Oh, who's looking out for the pastor?" Like you serving the people that's
I do serve
serving
pastors
the people.
as well, yeah.
You know, that's interesting. That's a unique way of going about things. Like, what kind of pointed you in that direction?
Because I was the first person that I looked in the mirror and I was like, I need somebody, and there's nobody showing up for us. Like, there's nobody. When I started looking for a therapist that served therapists, it wasn't a thing. Like, we was like, it was pre-burnout. It was like when there was a badge of honor to be a black woman grinding for somebody else, doing it like, you got your master's degree young, you're a director young. Like, how could you have any issues? And I'm like, bro, I'm depressed. Like, this sucks. What I thought it was and what it is two different things, and I don't want to do it like this anymore. And it was nobody. So September 18th, 2020, after being on bed rest at home for 7 days, I was admitted to the hospital. I was septic. My lactic acid was through the roof. My lungs were failing. And so we're in the hospital signing DNRs and DNIs and all the things. And I laid down and was like, babe, pass me my laptop. And he was like, what? He was like, if you die, they're going to find someone else. And I was like, but we have an audit. And like in my head, I'm still like doing the work. He was like, babe, you just signed something that if you stop breathing to not bring you back. And you asked me for your laptop. Like, please stop playing with me. And so I sat in the hospital on like a geriatric CCU unit with leads on my chest. I couldn't shower myself for 5 days. Then we had to move into my parents' house because I couldn't breathe well. Like, my body was shutting down from stress. So I'm out of work a month and a half. They think I have like pulmonary embolisms, where they think that I have like blood clots traveling to my lungs that are going to kill me, that I have some kind of cancer, that I have sleep apnea. So we move in, we're newlyweds. We got married in 2014. We bought our house 2015. It's 2018. We should be batting and bopping, and we at my parents' house, like, and they're walking me downstairs like a geriatric patient every morning. They walk me to the couch, they leave me there, and I had met this lady. Her name is Tammy, and Tammy's a white lady, and she was like, "Why don't you do this for you?" She was like, "You're turning billions of dollars for organizations, and you're at home, and they're just like, you can't answer your emails by law. Let the program run." And you're like, "Gotta get it done." She's like, "Why don't you sit down in this time and work on a business?" And that's what I did. So during that time, I did my LLC, I did my EIN, I got my business banking account, I worked with the SBA through SCORE and got a business mentor, and I'm sitting at home and doing all of the things. But I was like, man, I still need a therapist. Like, who's going to help? And so I started running what we call peer support groups at the time. We would pop up like massage parlors, and I had other therapists come in. I was like, hey, how do you feel? Good. Bro. If anyone knows that good is not a feeling word, it's a therapist. Yeah. But we have been so conditioned to just show up and do good work. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, it's a real problem. And then we're involved in church. My husband and I, we pastor in Miami Gardens. And so our pastor was like, who do the pastors talk to? He was like, just like therapists are running when everybody else is running out, so are the pastors. My friend was a firefighter, and he was like, actually, we lost a baby the other day. Who do we go to? And it became like, oh my gosh, it's not just therapists that need therapists. It's folks that are doing things that counteract our biology. Yeah. Physiology says, hey, something's going wrong. Our amygdala's like, wow, 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 cancel, abort, and we stop. And we don't go into dangerous situations. Therapists are coming into trap houses. We're going into prisons. We're going into places that people aren't going. Like, we do a lot of like thanatology, death and dying work. We identify dead bodies. We do like a lot of work that people aren't doing. We work with police officers. We do ride-alongs, and we help veterans. So where we're going, other people are like, actually, I'm good. I'll catch that somewhere else. I'm not doing that. And it takes a special kind of person to override their physiology and keep doing that. And so eventually I was, okay, so whoever feels this way, if you feel like what you're being called to do overrides your physiology and now you're judging your emotions versus being curious, let's have a conversation about that. Like, let's look at our emotions and what our body is doing when we're actually safe and well as information. And we're curious about it. Like, let me know more about why my body feels like run up, pull up on my ass, a question that I don't agree with. Like, at work, it's a chain of command. Who is she talking to? Like, did she know that I'm a boss at work? And then why does that give me a visceral, like, in my belly versus something else? And how do I navigate telling this woman that I love, play with somebody else? Like, how do I get that F around and find out in a way that feels loving? How do I communicate that you're making me feel some kind of way without being violent or angry? Because oftentimes I get a lot of men, and we're only taught, and I say we as the men that I sit with, that anger is your only viable, worthy emotion. It's the only emotion that men are worthy of being able to express because it looks like strength. But then violence is no-no. Leaving is no-no. Duplicitous lifestyles are no-no. What do we do with that information? What do we tell our body to how do we navigate the systems and the structures that weren't built for us with curiosity without judgment? And so we just landed at, whosoever will, if you will. And it's just been that constant of, one, I get it through lived experience. So I understand what it's like to be in your purpose lane. I love the place that I worked. Like, I had prayed about it. The role was created for me. And the person in that environment, me in that environment, caused me harm. And we feel like when we chase our goal and we reach it, that I have to be at war with me to be peace of what I decided I was going to do. But we can change whatever that goal is. We can update it. We can, look at the time frame before using SMART goals and do it differently in a way that is true to self. Only if we utilize information and emotions as information and are curious about what it looks like to change those narratives. So it's been a constant idea of changing that narrative. What is professional for a Black female therapist? I would have never worn all of the animal prints that I have on today, but it's just what I like. Like, I would have been in my black, white, and gold and whatever. I probably wouldn't have worn my bun. And so I began to become curious about what it like to be truly and wholly myself. Yeah. And then others can then come in truly and wholly themselves. And so that's where it started. And it's kind of where we're at now. It's kind of like this constant journey of curiosity where all of the rules that I created of what professional looked like, that prison that I built for myself of rules and branding and all of the things and this text code and this gold and this font and that typography and we use these words only and to just being like, man, today was a rough day. I'm gonna show up to therapy and my hair might be a mess, but I'm gonna be a dope therapist no matter how I look. And so those are the kind of things that I'm constantly learning, unlearning, relearning, and then passing on.
That's definitely real, and that's definitely something that a lot of entrepreneurs face. Like, how to do this thing. I would say in my field, it's like 88% white, 5% Black, but as far as attorneys. But within that 5%, we pretty much stick to very, quote-unquote, traditional practice areas, criminal defense, family law, social work, personal injury, those types of things. So, like, as a corporate attorney, I'm looking around like, I'm the only chocolate chip in this cookie here. Indeed. So how do I acclimate to this? And then, like, as you said in the beginning, something that you said about on that journey, you think it's supposed to go one way, but then something happens, right? And then kind of blows up all these rules and those different things. How do you help reel people in? That firefighter who thought they're going out there to save the world, but then, like you said, they saw a infant pass away. Or that pastor who couldn't, and I've seen this before, a pastor who couldn't save a marriage that affects how he, quote unquote, pastors may not want to do it anymore because of that trauma. How do you help people pivot back to, or, reassess their journey, to say the least?
I don't know that I do that. I don't know that I have like a magic trick. I think what we do is assess this is a new normal. We now have new information about how you view yourself in comparison to the world. We have new information about how your role impacts others and how did this happen to and for you. we're looking at that person's narrative. That marriage breaking up may or may not happen whether you were not around. But trauma therapy teaches us, and I'm super duper duper blurred. Like, I am all into the brain and neuroscience and physiology, and I'm really into the word, right? And so I believe we're fearfully and wonderfully made, like 10 toes down, Jesus all day long. So when we decide, both in a spiritual realm and in the natural in our physiology, our brain, several thousand things are happening, right? So neuroscience says that neurons that wire together fire together. So one decision's not made in that moment. We're assessing all of the things to help us make the next safest choice, all of the things to help us stay the most in line, right? We are naturally super lazy. We want the path of least resistance. So our brain is going to get information and say, hey, when you were 10, you were bullied, you got laughed at, you didn't like it. You were bullied again, you slapped somebody. That worked. Next time you get bullied, you won't slap somebody. And so our brain says, hey, what solved this problem last time? I'm going to do that again. Something happens that changes what worked, and we're like, oh man, I suck, I'm the problem, versus I didn't have all the information that I needed. Had I known outside of, fighting fires and being cool, maybe on a calendar as a firefighter, or maybe, being able to drive Santa around at Christmas for kids, that there were some traumatic pieces that went into that, I might have done different work to prepare. But I only knew what I knew. And so we shift the blame of like self sucks. It's my fault. This is a thing versus this thing out of your purview happened to you. And how did it land for you? And let's create a new narrative around this new normal. So maybe not every call you get involving a kid, you're in the truck and you're like, get somebody else to do it. Hands ringing, heart beating fast, right? And trying to figure it out. How do you stay psychologically safe? Do we do some breath work? Do we identify that you're going to always give your best? And then when we debrief after like tragic incidents like that, what could we have done differently? Like we start to look at, we reverse content map that thing. Okay, this is the end result. Is there anything we could have done to expedite, change this process? And it's never about not good enough or being bad. Oftentimes in entrepreneurship, we're solopreneurs. We're the blueprint. We're figuring out that there could be a one chocolate chip cookie. Like we could just have one chip in a whole cookie and that'll be all right, right? And it's going to change the entire dynamic, that one chip. And so we're looking around trying to copy, paste, repeat, but there's nothing to copy, right? So our white counterparts may have years and years and years in business or have gone to schools like Harvard where they teach you to build businesses versus apply for jobs, right? So even how we're educated, completely different topic for a different day. Like there are socialistic things that cause just us being behind the 8 ball in a lot of areas. And so now having to rewire our brain to say, hey, I'm not writing a resume, I'm writing a capability statement. I want government money. It's very different thought process. We don't have the adequate tools. I'm a big Disney girl. Like I'm a big kid. And I feel like everyone's seen The Little Mermaid. And so Scuttle tells Ariel that a fork is a doppelganger and she can use it to comb her hair. Ariel's at the princess table, like super duper, like high fancy, and she grabs the fork and starts combing her hair. People at the table were like, what is she doing? She's like, I'm solving a problem in a way that you didn't think about it. And so I'm like, wait, stop. This is what we're doing. We become that one chocolate chip in the cookie. We're taking the fork, the doppelganger, and solving a problem they didn't know they had. And so when your everyday fork becomes my hair comb, it now has 2 purposes. One for one that you didn't know you needed, but 2 that tells RJ, maybe if you need a doppelganger, you can use your fork instead. So RJ's like, wait a minute, I have this thing that I can adapt to do another thing. And that's the Black entrepreneurship journey. That's entrepreneurship outside of everyone else because we don't have maybe the brick and mortar of like, do this first, then that. We're like, oh man, I'm gonna try this. There's this clear door that I can't get through. But if I go that way, there's a window I could kind of like hop over. And so I think that kind of that creativity that is just innately who we are, applying in a way that is not self-deprecating. Because Black folks are like, get in the bag. Yeah. Okay, but then you're also getting high blood pressure, sugar diabetes, divorce, not resting, poorly hydrated. You know, and what does that look like to find that balance of, no, I work these hours and that's it. And I'll get back to your email when I get back to your thing and being able to say, hey, like this is a part of my brand. My brand is that I take care of me first. And when I'm fully well, your content's going to always be fire. I'm sure when you rest and you're eating well and you're not fighting with nobody, your creative lens and your eye is so different. Like, you're like, oh, wait, try this, do that. You can get the stuff done more quickly. We're like, sleep when we die. And I'm going to sleep until 10 o'clock most days, except for you guys. I'm going to sleep in. And so finding those things that work for us as individual fingerprint brand owners is what is that difference.
And that's tough because we get a lot of reinforcement as far as, especially when you're a young entrepreneur and you kind of find that you kind of strike oil, right? You find the water in the well and things start flowing a little bit. You feel like you can't stop because there was times where, I used to pray for times like this, all that stuff. So like there was times where we weren't eating, and so now things are flowing in. We feel like we have to continue to go. And we even come from cultures, families that push, or even music as well, that pushes this hustle culture to keep going, keep pushing. So we really don't know how to stop, how to rest. Don't stop, won't stop, whatever it said. So like, how do we do that? How we put it down?
I'm super countercultural. Nothing that eats something else can live in my life. So if my business is eating my family, it can't exist. Like that cannibalistic nature of like, this has to be the only thing that I'm doing. Miss me with that all day long. If you want to hustle till you die, I'll come to your funeral. What color you want me to wear? I will wear your shirt, all the things, but I'm not about to, listen, I'm here for it, right? I'm not about to make a narrative that wasn't designed for me to thrive, be the thing that is the beating drum of my life. Like, I can change the cadence. And so for me, if this particular thing, if meeting that goal is an issue for something else, when I reassess and I look at my KPIs, like, my goals are to stay alive, well, saved, and sane. Anything that impacts one of those areas, whether it's my wellness, makes me unpeaceful. Whether it's a client that I was like, this, you got good money, I like you, but actually our values don't align, they gotta go. And so when we are entrepreneurs, we write the SOPs, we have the KPIs, we're in charge of all of that. None of those folks that wrote those songs are worried about you. Like, I love my culture, I'm Haitian, as you know. And we just, work hard, 37 jobs. And I'm not interested in that. I don't want to be missing stuff with my kid. Like, my work day ends at 2 o'clock. So I can have time to transition between work, get house stuff done, and spend time with my kid. Like, we do Play-Doh and we cook and we bake together. And that's during the times that I make the most money. But it should only be 2 once. Money will always be there to be made. We can ideate and do whatever. And so for me, when we look at our lives as entrepreneurs, our lives are the business. And the work that makes us get paid is a small part of what makes everything else work. Versus my business I gotta fit my life into my business. It's my business. I can change the rules, the opening hours, the times that we're closed, all of the things. My doctor has never said, are my hours inconvenient for you? And change their schedule. Ever. And I got lots of doctors. I got eye doctor, teeth doctor. And they're all like, this one we're open. Oh, you got a job, sorry for you. Ever. And they just stand on business and boundaries. And so if your business is, we do this and our turnaround time is that, our office hours are this, my consult fee is that, and you decide, hey, I want to do a pro bono gig, cool, no problem. You decide you want to raise your prices, hey, no problem. But the idea that something external from you, a value that is not your value, a voice that is not your voice, gets to rule and reign over you is crazy to me. Like, for what? Who benefits from us being overworked, even if we're well paid? Like, in 2022, we had a $250,000 contract. Halfway through, I was like, I'm in bed with the bad guy. We are not renewing. Y'all can never have my name, my brand on nothing again. We haven't had a $250,000 contract since. But the way that I sleep now, knowing that I stood on my values, I was like, y'all are really, really icky people. Like, y'all sold me a bag of goods. I'm in bed with the mafia. Like, you're the bad guy for real, for real. And as much as your money lets me do a lot less of my business stuff, I feel disgusting working with you. And you can choose that as an entrepreneur. And so I think when we look at the narratives of how we learn and how we apply what we've learned, or if we're willing to learn, relearn, and unlearn, it allows us more freedom than the idea of these hard, fast, rigid rules. No matter who's doing what. No one's going to do it. Like, if all 3 of us were therapists and we all saw people of color who were superheroes, I would never go broke. Because I am the sauce. Like, at the end of the day, like, you can do whatever you're doing. They could put 30 other creative visionaries, artists, photographers, storytellers in the same business. if you stick to who you are, you'll never go broke because you are your sauce. So when the culture is saying, hey, you got to do like that person, for what? They're already doing that. We would only have one burger joint versus McDonald's, Burger King, Shake Shack, blah, 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 blah. And they pop up everywhere. And there's 3 of them in the same plaza, and they do not care. Like, literally, McDonald's and Burger King be like this on every block together. And they're like, okay, and? So why us as entrepreneurs? And I think I really keep saying black because I feel like as black people, we're kind of conditioned that we have to be less than and that we can't go out and like do whatever. So we're like, oh man, there's another videographer in this building. I'm not coming here, but this is where I want to be. I'm gonna set up shop.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I mean, for me, my experience as an entrepreneur is, like I told you, it started in the 2nd grade. You know, asking everybody in the classroom, hey, what candy do you like? What candy do you like? What candy you like? And then based off if I got the most votes for the blow pops, I got a blow pop business, you know? But as far as like I like how you mentioned, you know, people seeing like, oh, it's 2 videographers in this area, like seeing that as competition. Me, when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's kind of just do it, man. It's just like literally just get it done. Just stay consistent. It's like it's the process of like now I have more forethought, but it's like the process of really like thinking it all the way through. Nah, it's like literally, okay, I got this pack of blow pops. There's 20 of them in there. 4 of them is gonna be mine because I'm picking up the best colors.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna sell this other 16.
Yeah.
I'm gonna triple my money. I'm gonna save $1. I'm gonna invest the other $1, and the other $1 is for me to spend however I want, right? So it's like, all right, let's keep doing that, and it's just kept going from business to business to business, right? Whether we're doing it as a team, I don't know if it was like fully just about making the money, but it's kind of like the fulfillment of bringing some form of value or being a part of something, like whether we're working as a group, as a team doing something, or, you know, it's just being consistent, being a part of something, being able to contribute. You know what I mean? I feel like that's one of the main things that kind of keep people going. Like how you said you work with firefighters, you know, I know it's not the money that keeps them going, because if it's the money, you'll probably do something else, right? So it has to be some form of like fulfillment, feeling like you're able to help or save somebody, you know. But it's a lot that then after you're in the process of being a part of that, you know, it's a lot that comes with it. Now you're like, oh shoot, I'm a part of this company. I got this team, I got this to handle, I got these bills to pay, and it's like, okay, now it's real now, you know. But even when it does get real, it's like, all right, well, let's go back to 2nd grade. Back to selling the blow pops, and let's just stick to the script. We just got to sell 16 blow pops today, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so it's kind of like keeping it in that same, like for me, every day, just like basically within that same realm of just, we're just going to perform how we always perform. If somebody actually if I see a videographer or somebody that's in my field, I actually go out and reach out to them like, hey, we should work together.
Right.
You know, because I always see it as an opportunity for collaboration rather than competition, because you always get better when you're in a room of other people that's like-minded. Now, he might not be like-minded. All right, cool. We're not going to work good together because you're always like so down and pessimistic, like, oh man, no clients, they don't want to pay my price. Well, just stick to your price.
And find your people.
Yeah, and find your people. The people that value your price, you just keep it at that. The people that can't, it's okay.
Right. They're not your people.
They're not your people, you know. So just stick to your just stick to your guns. So I always like to keep, you know, people that's like in that same realm, that's on that same level as far as like, hey, we're not gonna complain today. Yeah. What are we gonna actually do? You know, what are we gonna contribute? You know, so I do really appreciate you coming out here and breaking down a lot of the sciences, because you when you first started, you was talking about the philosophy and I was trying to catch up. I was about to go on Google and be like, I don't know what is.
And then the parts of the brain too.
Yeah, I'm like, if she's talking about the brain and then the body and then the connection between the. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just stick to the blow pops because I know how that operates. You feel what I'm saying?
That's your framework, right? So you said that you didn't have a lot of forethought, and I was like, don't reframe it. I'm gonna reframe it, y'all. I'm gonna reframe it. And so the idea that you found a need and then polled your audience before you launched shows an incredible amount of insight as a second grader. So what do y'all like? So you didn't go out and buy a variety box of like, they look like blow pops. So before you even invested $1, you had the forethought to say, who are my people? And I'm gonna serve them. But I'm gonna serve them what I like after I eat first. Entrepreneurs are told, buy everything, figure it out, and then niche down and stick to that niche till you die. So if you end up niche down to somebody who's a pessimist, now you just stuck in this prison cell of that you sat down and brick and mortar built. And so like your forethought to me, even as a second grader, is mind blowing. Even when you're like, hey, let's collaborate. We refer out all of the time. All of my therapists niche down. We do only what we do. And if we can't do it, we send them out. People are like, oh, but I sifted through 45 therapists and I picked you. And I'm like, look, so my eye doctor went through rounds everywhere. And they'll be like, hey, look at my foot while I'm talking to her, ever. Because she's my eye doctor. So you're coming for this, but I do that. Oh, but you're so dope, and I probably am. Yeah. But if I need this kind of thing and you do that kind of thing, and if you like me, it's bad business to take your money.
That's right.
But if I can say, hey, I know for sure so-and-so does this, and I can do a warm handoff, particularly with therapy. People get mad. They get so mad when I'm like, hey, I can't serve them. And I tell them, I will personally find you somebody else. And within 7 days, a calendar week, I warm transfer to somebody else. If you come here like, hey, this is a thing, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this sounds like trauma, but actually under here is maybe like something else that I really just don't do well. I'm going to transfer you out. And I will call around and say, hey, do you have a spot for such and such this kind of presentation? I will say, hey, can we please stay out on my wait list, top of your wait list, like, and do those back end things to get somebody in, because that matters, right? Think about the vulnerability to say, hi, my name is Jessica, I'm a sexual assault victim, in your first conversation with anybody. And you're like, I found my people. And I'm actually like, yeah, thank you for sharing over this brief 30 minutes. You done got butt naked. And I'm like, put your clothes back on. Sorry, I don't do that. And you're like, what? Try again. Versus like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's definitely a foot thing. I know a phenomenal foot doctor. Do you prefer a foot doctor of color, a woman, a man? Do you want somebody, you know, in a certain age range? And I look through my Rolodex of people who I would sit on their couch. So if I wouldn't work with you, I'm not sending you no business. Because they're going to look at me and be like, Jessica sent you. And they're like, they call that Jessica told me. We not going to play with my good name in these streets. No, ma'am, no, sir. But when you know someone, you can say, hey, that's the thing. That's forethought. Hey, we got a really big job. I can bring you in and do this. That's forethought. So you're never saying no to your ideal blow pop client. If they want a bouquet of blow pops, I know a great flower person. But it's going to be my blow pops in that bouquet. And now that's forethought. So I feel like listeners like, yo, he's a creative genius. And you mentioned no forethought. I was like, no, reframe. Because your forethought may not look like what my forethought looks like. But you built infrastructure. So you said I'm going back to second grade, and that infrastructure that I built one time 30 years ago still works for me. We're going to sell 16 whatever today, but I'm going to get the first 4. And I'm going to save $1, right, for me. And the first 4 that I like, not just what's left, I'm going to get the first one I'm going to pick for me first. And entrepreneurship tells us, we'll just eat the scraps. We'll just get there when we get there. And I'm like, no, if I got to work for me, I got to eat. I have to eat the things that I enjoy when I enjoy them. So I was like, y'all got coffee? I was just to stop playing. You know, you like this, and this. Bring your water, bring your coffee, bring your sparkling water, have your whole, like, because that's what works for me, right? And so not even when in different settings, not second guessing who we are. I was like, no, I'm gonna bring my stuff. I'm gonna bring all my gallons of drink. And it's a constant unlearning, right? Because I calls, do you have coffee? Okay, yes, bet. But then I know that I put my protein powder in my coffee, my collagen in my coffee, a certain kind of milk, to bring all that in here, be crazy, versus just saying, hey, I'm gonna come prepared with what I know that I need. And even 6 years in business, 39 years old, I'm still like, okay, is this gonna be okay? In spaces that are affinity with other Black people, I'm still like, I don't know if this feels professional. Girl, you need to drink. You know what your body needs. They can like it, not like it, sit next to it, whatever. Bring all your jugs.
So Thank you for that. I guess I have a little bit of forethought in it.
You do.
I'm like always in the.
You do.
But let's talk a little bit about branding and marketing and attracting your ideal clients. Like I know you mentioned about the leopard print. In the fashion sense, you know, I'm not the most fashionista. I like to keep my things like simple, clean, basic, something I can just throw on and go. But even in the sense of just putting on your clothes, that's your branding. That's how you step out and you represent not only yourself, your company, your family, right? So when it came to branding and being able to market not only yourself but your company, what did that look like? And how did your people, like the people that is for you, like how did they?
That's a good story here. That's a good story here.
No marketing?
What just flashed before my eyes? So when we started out our company, our hashtag was Better Together.
Okay.
And this is when Canva was like not even like a popular known thing. So I'm in Canva and I created this thing and it was like 3 people. It was like the little circles and the little bodies. The one in the front was bright pink. The ones behind them were black. Because in my idea, you know, in a black and white world, we stand out. My husband and I went to a concert and we're standing there. He's got on my shirt. I got on the shirt. Somebody was like, "You guys do stuff for cancer patients?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, all these bald lady with no breast on your shirt." And so they read it as people that had double mastectomies that had gone through chemo for the Better Together in the pink.
Wow.
So when you said that, my husband was like, "What?" And I was like, "Babe, it's our shirts." Because the person is talking to us and he's just like, da-da-da. He was like, "Cancer and women." And my husband's like, "We're at a church function. It's a concert." And then he's like, "Where is this line of questioning?" I'm standing he's standing here. So I'm looking at his shirt. This person asks us, "Oh, I'm wearing the same shirt." So this person thinks that this is a cancer brand because what looked like to me community in my head looked like to the other person cancer. So when you say branding, I remember my first like logo iteration. People thought that we were doing stuff for cancer. And so I realized that branding is in the eye of the beholder and it's our job to tell our story. And so I had to really like identify what it was that I was trying to get across. And it's still like in a black and white world we stand out. So it ended up being the black, white, and gold. So I feel like we're just a little razzle-dazzle-ish kind of people. And so for literally up until yesterday, I've only ever spoken in black, white, and gold, like black, white, and mustard, and that kind of like down to like my hex codes matched, like all of the things. No one that's not a kid ever been like, "Man, I chose you because every time I see a picture of you, you're in black, white, and gold. I chose you because you use the same typography in all of your posts." Nobody really cared. What they cared about was the messaging that made them feel like they were seen, that they were heard, that they were valued, they were respected, they were belonged, that somebody thought about what was happening for them and said, "Hey, I'm going to curate a space just for you." And that is branding. Like I was talking to somebody the other day and I was like, my ideal brand is Dunkin' Donuts. Let me tell you why. Dunkin' Donuts started off selling Dunkin' Donuts. When I go to Dunkin' Donuts, I order hash browns and an egg taco. Dunkin' Donuts sells carbohydrates, coffee, and sugar. And their logo is a man running. And their slogan is "America runs on Dunkin'." I have never seen an athlete in Dunkin' in any of my days. Everyone that goes to Dunkin' looks like Homer Simpson. They're in there, round, plump, happy, eating half a box of donuts. And they said, "We don't care what y'all think. America runs on us. Check somebody else." And so I'm like, you guys literally sell carbohydrates and sugar and only that. You have like 3 little off-kilter menu items, the ones some person probably orders, and you say that you're going to make a fit running person your logo. Champs does not have a running person for their logo. Nike don't have a running person. Peloton. Dunkin' Donuts said, "We gonna brand that America runs on us. Play with somebody else." I was like, I could be whoever I want. If Dunkin' Donuts, people run on Dunkin', I could be whoever I want to be. And so that for me is what branding is. It's what message do you believe that you have? And I get it. That's the idea of America runs on caffeine. We run on flexibility. We run on ease. We run on pre-made, on quick, on not having to do things. But the idea that you would equate exercise and an athlete with your donut brand is mind-blowing to me. They said what they said. And so your brand is what you decide it to be. So if you decide tomorrow that you want to sell pink elephants, as a lawyer, that's what you do. And you tell people they need pink elephants, and this is why. Yeah. But if we don't believe it, they're not going to believe it. And so that's what I believe branding is you telling your story to others and inviting them in to be a part of the process or to tell someone else about your story.
I like that.
Versus my cancer ladies.
I like that. Did you ever, I'm going to go a little bit into marketing. Did you ever run ads or, how did you get people to get to that point? Because, all right, we're talking with our audience is like entrepreneurs. They could be from day one trying to build their practice, or they could be, year 5, trying to, manage the amount of clients that they have. They may not even want to do any more marketing. Like, hold on, I got enough here. Let me figure out my operations right now.
Yeah.
But just like from starting out, like at that point of attracting those people, was ads or just knocking on doors or?
It was all word of mouth. Like before I began my practice, I had run and created several programs in the state of Florida. I created the first DSM-5 therapy community in the state of Florida. I was working at Bridges of America. It's a therapeutic community for returning citizens, AKA male felons, who had been out of community for a while that were coming back in. And so I was like, we can't get these guys who are in here for racketeering charges working at Popeyes. I can get my dope boys working at McDonald's and say, go home and do that. That's not an equivalent to how their family standard of life is. But if I can get somebody who can move weight real quick on a phone and sell you a product, we had guys EOSing, ending their sentence, going home with like 25 racks in the bank. Because I was like, this is your gifting. How do we apply your gifting somewhere else? And so I had already been known as like a revolutionist, if you will. I was just out here just doing things outside because those systems aren't meant to really reform. But if I'm going to be in the system and I have the opportunity to make a change, what's what I'm going to do? And so we were able to create within the framework of what was there opportunities people could really go out and grow and go home and stay home. We had a really, really, really great drop. I want to say it was like 89% of our guys didn't recidivate or reoffend. So they got no new charges. Super dope, really unheard of in, work release kind of programs. Worked with human trafficking victims and started to understand how people were trafficked and how they were groomed. And so I had that information coming in, and I stepped down as a clinical director of a really large organization here in Miami. And so I was already on social media because I'm a millennial, so my people were already out online. So it was already just kind of a natural, I'm opening a business. Oh, bet, who do you see? We're gonna send people to you. And so for me, it was very much word of mouth. As far as ads and all that, I've had very bad experience with marketers because marketing is a very icky is the word that comes up kind of thing. You have to know what you know, right? And so we've lost about $184,000 to poor marketing.
Oh man.
Sheesh. I just had to say that. I mean, I was like, whew. I've been done passed out.
And so when I was sitting down talking to one of my mentors, she was like, you're in a pool with billionaires now. Because she was like, people don't understand how much marketing is elusive. Because as a marketer, it's essentially a game of finesse, right? So I know what you don't know. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get you out there. But if I don't know that SEO has to convert and be tied to this, to Google AdWords, to this, I need to be able to track what's happening and look at what's going on. I understand what algorithms actually are. I understand what that looks like. I have an actual funnel. I know what my sales processes, my KPIs behind the scenes match that. My own staff can close the deal when I get them in the door. What does ads do for you? Expose what you're unprepared to take care of. And so I feel like we hear a lot of run these ads, do this thing, get a social media campaign, da-da-da-da-da-da. But what do you stand on? Who are you? What are you selling? What is your goal? Today you got 4,000 phone calls. Half of them didn't match your avatar. Do you have an avatar? What problem are you solving? How are you telling somebody you solving? Yeah, you got great graphics. What is your messaging? And so, do all of the things. Do them all in season. If you can't handle 500 leads, don't run ads. Go to your doctor's office and say, hey, you work with people. I'm doing X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. Can I come in and talk to your staff about who they know or what they know? I'll buy lunch. Who do you know? I learned the hard way, my net worth is my network. I met you in an event and came here. Then I looked at your podcast. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Latrice's headshot guy. We love his headshots. I was like, Treese, I'm going to be on your Headshot Guys podcast. And that literally was like, okay, no, you like you. Who's the other guy? Oh my gosh, that's Teresa people. She was like, yeah, he's amazing. That's what took my yes a while. I was like, I seen him before. And she's like, no, he's dope for real. Okay, cool, I'm coming. Yeah. Right? So like,
oh, so you know my homegirl Latrice.
Yeah. You mean you know my homegirl?
Oh, no.
I mean, that's what you mean. So yeah, so when I was like, oh my gosh, this is Teresa's people. And so I was like, Teresa, she's like, no, he's good people for real. There's one thing to know somebody doesn't work, but she was like, no, he's good people for real. Because I like to be in the room with good people. Yeah. So yes, opportunities and things are important, but do they align with who you are? So yes, market, yes, do the things, but understand the framework, the interworkings, the fiber of your brand. Because if I market to you and you buy, I have to serve you in excellence, whether I like you or not, whether it's on brand for me, whether it aligns with my values. So yes, market, do the thing, but know yourself. Know what will eat from what you want to grow and feed that. And I think that essentially is what marketing really is fundamentally, outside of all of like what TikTok tells us to do and Instagram and da-da-da. It's really relationships over and over and over again. Someone says, oh, I like that, I'm gonna buy this. And then they feed you. So like I'm a horrible TikToker. Like I TikTok recipes and all the things. But I saw a jacket the other day. I've never bought anything from Fashion Nova. This lady had on this studded denim. It was like just bedazzled all over. Went to find it, couldn't find it. Sitting at work yesterday, my phone dings. Fashion Nova sends me a text. The image of the jacket I was looking at, I put none of my information into anything, just a Google search. And I got a text from Fashion Nova with the jacket I was looking at. Because I was like, ooh, she likes this. I'm going to give her more of that. But does Fashion Nova enjoy selling that? And so we think about our consumer, and they're great. But I don't care about them. Because if working with you makes me feel ill, you got to go away. Yeah. And so I feel like the entrepreneurship hustle is like, make sure they like you, make sure it converts, make sure you get follows and data. But if you hate the work that you're doing, ick. Like people like Kate Spade that take their lives that sell happiness, stop focusing on what worked for her. It won't be me. And so I think that is the difference between what you'll hear from a general like market, sell, convert, spend your money. No, save your money, take a break. Go to the spa, have a rest day, give yourself a day of PTO, come back refreshed, and then decide, do I need ads? Will ads get me to where it is that I'm going? Do I need a funnel? Do I need a training for my team that understands how we show up, what language we express? Super off topic, but on topic, I feel led to say. So, like I said to you guys, we're ministers, my husband and I. We serve transgender folks in my practice. You tell me your name is Bob, and you're like, Susan, I'm gonna call you Bob. At one point, my head of operations was in a whole lesbian relationship. And my pastor and I were like, he was like, well, why would you say? Because she was the best person for the job. And if she can't feel included here, if she can't feel the love of Christ here behind our brand, my clients never will. And so I have like a moral code. Like I personally, I'm married to a man. I believe that's how that works. But I wouldn't tell you who to marry. And so my brand says, we see you, we value, respect you, and you belong here how you are. And so even though I may not serve you well, I've got therapists who do phenomenal work with the LGBTQ community. But I still, when they walk in, they get hugs, high fives, daps, whatever they prefer, their gender pronoun, the name that they have on their paper, and that's it. And so we got to figure out, who are we talking to, what problem are we solving, and how are we willing to solve it, even if it's not within our ideal scope as a person. I think that's marketing in like a real nutshell.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Marketing is being your authentic self.
Yeah.
Every day. Yeah, that's what marketing is. Relationship by relationship, person by person, conversation by conversation. Really just being who you are every day. Spending that time, that extra time to communicate with that person. Being kind. If you're kind, if you mean, be mean.
Be yourself. Yeah. Know who you are. Chest out, chin up, 10 toes down all day. Stand on business and boundaries. Be who you are in every room.
Yeah. Nah, I like that. I like the answer because that's what I tell my clients all the time. It's like you're trying to rush into something and you might not be ready for that.
I don't even like it.
Just figure out who you are first. And who you can help and how can you help them. And then just help them. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to run an ad. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is find who you can help and then help them because you built your name by already doing the work. Right? So that's what it's all about, building that name, doing the work. being your authentic self, because that's what's really going to get people to say, hey, I know a perfect person for you. You need to meet RJ, or you need to meet, you know, like Jessica, like you need to meet Gary. Like that's the thing that's going to make them stand out. It's like, hey, Gary's is a solid dude. Every time I talk to him, it's like, it's always authentic.
Right, and that goes so far. People could smell a slimy salesman a mile away. You could have the best thing. If you try and sell me, I do not want it. Like, I met you at a networking thing. I hate networking things. My girlfriends brought me, I'm the DEIB president for NABO, or the board chair for NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners. So I'm in charge of diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging. But you got to be outside talking to people. Bro, networking is the bane of my existence. I don't want to tell you who I am, what I do, what I sell. You don't even really care. You just want me to buy whatever you're doing. And I'm like, it's disgusting to me. But we went and I gave Gary some feedback and he was like, hey, about that feedback, I got some questions. Because it wasn't like easy feedback. It was like, hey, like, what are we supposed to be doing here?
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
And I asked it openly because I was really curious, like, what is the point of our time together? Because for me, if I take time away from my family to do something else and it's eating up things, it's cannibalism. I have to figure out why I'm in this space. And versus you being like, this is what we do, you were like, well, tell me more about what you need. How can, what were you looking for when you got here? What needed the space? What should it have filled for you? And it wasn't salesy. Then you were like 3 days later, thank you for your feedback.
Yeah.
Someone else got very upset at that time, and they had all types of attitude and rolling of the necks, and I match energy. Yeah. KK, play with somebody else. I come from the run-up, pull-up. For Jesus, I have hands, and I still have hands. So we just lay them down in Jesus' name. So I had to be, hey, my good sis, what we're not going to do is that. Yeah. Right? But you didn't take it where you were like, who is she talking to? You were like, man, like, essentially, who else has been here that we've missed because they didn't ask for what they needed? Mm-hmm. Then he was like, also, we got a podcast. You down? Yeah. Send me the link. Then I was like, Treese, this is your people. And she was like, he's good people, sis. And Treese's word goes long and strong for me. Treese kept the gender of my baby. Like, she has, like, held me down, like, washed my feet, like, put shoes on. I was pregnant. Like, Treese is my people. And she was like, he's good people. So on that, I was like, I'm coming, like, because normally I'm like, actually, I'm not available for podcast interviews, for things that I can't monetize. I'm just not coming. And she was like, it's good people. And I remember, like, Gary was like, I feel you. What else could we do? Not just, hey, here's a problem. Did you notice anything else you failed to mention? Mm-hmm. That is marketing. That is networking. That tells me, even I never walked back through the doors of an event that he's hosting, that my opinion as a possible patron consumer of his business was important for him to stop his day-to-day lawyering, to stop what else he had going on, to make sure that I, as one person that came to a free event that probably earned him $0, mattered, right? And so that is business, that is networking, that is building community. Because I said, hey, I've got a client the other day. What do you do again? I got somebody I'm sending over. He said, okay, cool. I'll waive their consult fee. That does nothing, you losing money. But he was like, hey, you're sending me business? No problem. Because it's you, there's no consult fee for that person. That stuff moves your names in rooms you never know you're in. Like, you had no idea what she was with my good people. Like, you had no clue. But had she not co-signed you, I would not be sitting here right now. Because it was a 30-minute bop from my house to get here, and I don't even drive that far.
Not a bop.
It was, listen, I was like, I'm only at 50-something. I was like, is that 95? Where am I? Oh, I passed yellow green. I'm still going. Yeah. You know, and those things matter. Listen, I'm passing.
It's relationships, for real.
It is.
It's relationships. Yeah. That's why I just try to be myself every day. So.
That's it. I mean, any entrepreneur is trying to serve a community, and like you have to be inquisitive about what that community needs if you're trying to serve them. Because I could come up with a certain set of services, but everything's like expansive. Like you might need these services in a different way, and then why do you need that? And that could be a whole other niche for me to go into. That's be a whole other way for me to get better in what I'm doing, whether it's inside of my work or outside of work. You gotta ask questions. And something I'm holding on and applying to is like the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. So when somebody's asking you questions.
Come on, mini psychotherapist in training, yeah, we here for it, yes sir.
You gotta ask yourself those questions, and then when people are asking you questions, you gotta you got to respect that because they're trying to gain information too, and that could be an opportunity for you both to gain information. That's how you grow. That's how you get to this money, this bag.
Right. But even so, that's how you get to peace. Like, people who are not at peace with themselves can't get questions asked, and they're defensive. Like, if everything's a competition or an issue, if you are a business owner and your clients can't ask questions, get a therapist, get a mentor, get a board, because it should not be somebody that's asking you something that you should know or have information that's going to throw you to the left. Say, I don't know, I'll get back to you. I'm not certain. Let's revisit that. What do you mean by that? What I heard you say was that your intent? Right? So let's talk, again, therapy, because it's just what I do, guys. Welcome. So what you mentioned is impact versus intent. In communication, it is the responsibility of the communicator, the person speaking, orating, sending information, writing copy, designing the website, taking the headshots, to deliver the information that lands as intended for the person. So that what I intend to say to you, when it lands for you, it impacts as intended. If somebody asks you a question and your feather gets ruffled, it's probably not them, sis. Sir, it's you probably the problem. It's probably you and your unresolved stuff. But if they come back and say, what did you mean by that? Or what I heard you say was, you're like, ooh, that's not what I intended to impact at all. What I meant to say was da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? What I wanted you to experience here was that. And that is the school of life, like separate and apart. I think we should all, live well, make money. But if we're not growing as people, throw it all away. Throw it all away. Yeah. And so this idea of like constant inquiry about the what is and the who is and the hows shows that as a person you're willing to evolve. Because if we niche down to I am this, I said what I said, I'm doing what I'm doing, period, poo, da-da-da-da-da, we lose out on the opportunities to evolve and to grow. And then those that are evolving and growing, we can no longer serve them. Our client then outgrows us. We can no longer grow. When you were, a solopreneur, you couldn't, pay attention. You couldn't afford common sense. I was your guy. Yeah. Now you're making billions and billions and billions, and I can't grow you because my mindset is we just rock together. Well, no, now that you're needing more, maybe I need to hire a crew to work on your project. Maybe I need to 1099 somebody else to teach you that my model, so I don't have to be in 13 rooms at once. But my rules are, but your rules going to have you broke, busted, and disgusted, booked, busy, and burnt out. Get somebody else to do all of that. I don't want to do it. I want to have time to do things that are my purpose lane. And so when we think about the ideas of questioning, well, we're here. Please stop with these words of the year and things you're not going to actually do. Just stop. What worked last year? How can I improve it? I'm going to give you one last sauce that I give my clients all the time when we try and make a change. Because I think that oftentimes, as people, the diaspora particularly, like we're like, this is how we do things. Like, and that's just it. Like, there's only one way to do it. Like, this is how it gets done. This is how you make this. Like, I'm married to an American man. My first experience with things being different was he wanted to wear jeans to a funeral. I was like, what? Sa blondie, like, what the like, and it was a full on, like, big argument. Like, whose funeral are you going to in jeans? He changed and came back out in a red t-shirt. Oh no. Bruh, kill me now. Disbarred from the country. Like, take all of my Haitianness from me.
For those who don't know, you can't wear red to a Haitian funeral. You can't do that.
Jeans, t-shirt, sir. Go find something black, brown, navy with a white shirt and come back out this room. What are you doing? Right? And so we get tied down to the idea there's only one way to do it. And so from the standpoint of emotions being information, being curious, I've got a really simple process to help us entrepreneurs, us people, us moms, us dads, just us humans out here living every day for the first day and going moment by moment. Ideate something. Think about it. This is what I want to, like, brain dump all of your ideas. I want to shoot, 4 commercials for the government this year. I want 13 corporate contracts for what it is that I'm doing. Whatever your goal is, ideate till your mind can't ideate anymore. Take one idea, implement it till the wheels fall off. Do whatever you think works. Whatever does not work, you modify that thing. Whatever works, amplify that thing. We'll meet in the middle somewhere, something that works. If you get tired, put it back in ideation and come back to it. But you don't have to run yourself into the ground with the idea that you had before you implemented and stick to that thing. Amplify what works, modify what doesn't. Throw some stuff out. It's some stuff we just don't do no more. Like, we're not doing it. Like, we used to do free consults. We're not doing that. You need to prove, one, that you're going to show up by an investment financially. If you paid for it, you're coming. If you didn't pay for it, my time is paid for. And then in that time, we don't do like well, what's bringing you to therapy? How can therapy help you? What is your end goal on your healing journey? What would your life look like if we met these goals? What are your top 3 things that are bothering you? And you leave that time with me, whether we go work together or not. What we call a personal progression plan, a 30-day plan for those 3 things you can do on your own to get well. So if I can't see you, I have a wait list, whatever, you can go about your business with 3 things from a therapist that weren't therapy, that just were top level psychoeducation on how you can get to where you're going goal-wise from where you are. So you leave something of value. But it wasn't like, well, you know, I don't work Tuesdays at 4 because our hours are on our website. So the things that we found that we ended up explaining over and over again, we don't do first round sessions in person ever. Because if you have violent tendencies, I'm not going to find out being in a closed room with you for the first time together. Because it'll say, therapist made it out alive in the news article. Youth pastor's wife smashed somebody in their head, but she made it out. This is what it'll say in the news article. It's going to say she survived to see her baby. She smiled at her much, but she survived. And so for me, it was a safety thing. At first, we were all women. People that were coming to us had experienced moral injuries. So even before the pandemic, our first session was always virtual. Because I need to, you know, try the spirit, test through, make sure it's safe. Nobody else was doing that. When the pandemic happened, it was just a matter of, okay, well, we're staying on our virtual platform. No problem. And we were able to amplify what worked. Then we realized, okay, some people really, really need to have an in-person session for their first session. So I'll do a phone screening. What's going on? How are you? Da, 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 da. If I feel like it's psychological, physical, like it's safe for all of the things, we'll show up. But we were able to like move those needles.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. I like that, especially when it comes to the ideas and implementing. Because information is always great, but it's like, what are you going to do with that information? You know, it's like really taking that information and applying it. You know, you could read the book. I've met people, you know what I mean? I've read 1,000 books, you know? Like I read 50 books.
Cat Williams, 3,000 books.
That's like, all right, you read these 50 books.
What's one thing you implemented?
Exactly. You know, I haven't read 50 books since the year started. I probably read like 10 pages, if that. But from those 10 pages, I took what I needed and I applied it. I tested things. I amplified the things that worked. I took away the things that didn't work. I rechanged it around, and it's working. So I don't necessarily need to read 10 books, you know, to be effective. I can read those 10 pages, so I can watch this one podcast, take one thing from the podcast. You don't have to take everything from this episode, right? You could take one simple thing that you said and apply it today. And, you know, that's all you really need to do, you know. You don't have to listen to all the business podcasts across all platforms. Nah, just take one podcast, take your notes, the 3 takeaways. Okay, from these 3 takeaways, what is the one that I can actually apply tonight? Right.
And if you take someone's stuff, attribute them, say, I got this from that. We don't know everything. Because cease and desist are a real thing. Y'all play with the wrong people and go be with Gary. In court, right? So if you heard something and you were like, yo, RJ said this thing and this thing is dope, attribute RJ. Tag him in what you're talking about. Say his name. Write it out in your content. Say this is where this idea originated from. Because what happens is when you take my blueprint, you can only steal what you know. So when they ask you questions on what you stole, you only know what I shared. If you could say, hey, RJ taught me this and I'm implementing this framework, they can say, hey, can you and RJ come have a conversation? RJ's like, what, you learned this from me? That's crazy. I never know it reached such and such, right? And so, yes, take the information and apply it. Stop coming into masterminds and mastering nothing. Save your money. Just go on a vacation where you could refresh yourself and use your own ideas, right? I was looking at, I was looking at my P&L at in the beginning of January, and I was like, I pay this person $400 a month. I couldn't tell you the last thing they said to me in 6 months because I don't log in. And they're just like, hey, join and it sounds great. You buy into this thing. You're like, this isn't in line with my values. Yeah. Realign them. Like, figure out what about this did I do that thing and commit to doing the thing that you pay for. So I committed to canceling a lot of stuff. I don't want to do that anymore. That's not where my business is going, where I'm at. Cancel it. But when you find something gold or someone gold, give them their roses. Tell them thank you. Shout their name from the rooftop. I think a good example is at The Color Purple, where he was like, actually, my homie. And if it's not us, it's nobody. Like, and that kind of energy is what really secures the bag. Because if I can't work and you work and my name is in my bag is secured. If I only work when I work and nobody has my name in their mouth and people don't like me, I have no bag security. I have no friendships. I have no relationships. I have no referral pipeline. And that matters. That matters in business, in life, in friendship. And it matters for our psychological safety. So I feel like you're going to steal from me. I move different when I'm around you. People that you have to deal with, you know that they just don't align with who you are. You're like ick on the way there, ick while you're there, ick. So be genuine in who you are. If you're, slimy and a thief, be that way all the time. Yeah. Your people will find you. Yeah. There's some folks who want to be able to do quick things quickly with very little rules. Them your people, and that's okay. There's other folks who are not going to be your people, and that's also okay. But run together with your people. Don't come into an area and present as one thing and be something different. Because no matter where you go, you got to stand on your name. No matter what business you are not in. And don't be afraid to quit your job, your entrepreneurship, and get a job that supports your lifestyle and toe dip back in. Particularly what you built you don't like. If your business is a prison, leave. You have the keys, the locks, all of it, get out. And start again. Get a job. All these pays really well. Put some asparagus up for half an hour a day.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it at all. There's times where I was like, I don't want to do none of this. What is the pay for stay-at-home mom husband? I need to know. Like, is there a salary? Is there a benefit package? And figure out where you want to be and be there with excellence. Yeah,
it does. Sometimes, like I was a photographer and I had to get a full-time job, and I worked at the hospital for 4 years. One of my photographer buddies, he went and got a job last year, and he's like, "Damn, RJ, I felt like, you know what I mean, I let you down or whatever." I'm like, nah, it's part of the journey, Right. Sometimes you have to take a break, get a job, get that consistency in, save a little bit of money, allow yourself some time to learn a little bit more and figure out who you are, what's for you and what's not for you. Figure that out, because that's probably the most important thing. Once you figure yourself out and figure out, okay, this is my parameters of like who I like to work with. And this is, okay, if you're in this lane, that's not for me. I can see you when you're coming. Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Thank you.
I know somebody for you. I got somebody for you, But take that time. It took me 4 years working at the hospital, and then I left in 2017 and just been doing it since then. But it's not like, oh, RJ, you've been up and rolling, and no, it's a journey. Enjoy that journey. Don't think you just failed. Nah, right. You didn't fail. You're on the road, man. Yeah. Just keep going,
If you fail, as long as you fail forward, you're winning. If you fail forward and it got you closer to your goal, you're winning. Yeah. The craziest thing that I can think about in entrepreneurship is being unhoused, unhappy, unwell, and an entrepreneur. Get you a job. Get on somebody else's team. Get you a mentor. You got to stop working your solopreneur and go work for JCPenney to learn how to focus the camera real good, to figure out lighting and sound and whatever and acoustics and all the things. Do that. You're never not learning. You're never not feeding into your entrepreneurship bag. It may not be your name on the door. Like, my husband will never be an entrepreneur. It's just not him. But my husband is one of the best employees. That man eats, sleeps, drinks, breathes Comcast. You hear me? He works for Comcast Business IT. He loves it. They love him. He went from like answering phones to being subject matter expert. He's a people person. He gets to train people when they come in, do back end systems, write SOPs. He's a real techie nerd, break it, fix it. They love that for him. They love that for him, and he loves it. He wears a Comcast shirt almost every day. We got 85 million Comcast mugs. And for him, like, cracking the code of what's not working in that business works. Another thing that I want to say about entrepreneurship, you may not be feeling, you may have the right person on your team in the wrong seat. What do I mean by that? My husband is phenomenal. Put him on the phone with a timekeeper, he's going to lose his job. Because he wants to understand why your phone's not working. Where is your landline set up? Are you close to your router? He wants to actually solve the problem. If the metric is 10 minutes off the phone for the customer to be happy, he failed. Like his first 5 years, he just kept failing in metrics. And his boss was like, but you're succeeding everywhere else. Your team members like you, supervisors come. So like, we're going to create a position for you. And they moved him out of that time-bound whatever. And now he can sit on the phone for an hour, ask about your kids, your grandkids, where your router's at. Do you have good signal here, a bad signal there? Did you restart your iPhone? Blah, 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 blah. And he does that for customers that bring Comcast in millions of dollars. Their CEO wants that energy by on the phone to say, hey, this is what he does, the escalation. So when it hits the fan, you're like, Comcast, go fly a kite. Good afternoon, how are you? Oh my gosh, is that your kid in the background? How old is your kid? Is that your grandkid? And he knows all about you and your family while solving your problem versus like, hold on for 5 minutes. They realize, okay, this man is a gold mine in this area. This is what he loves. He's gonna talk, he's gonna solve the problem. If we give him an unencumbered time to talk and we give him the angry customers, they're not going nowhere. So maybe you got the talky person in a very time constrained role, move them to another seat or ask them, what about this role do you love? And how can I improve? One of the hardest things for me, transitioning to growing my team, because it's one thing to scale. If you scale, you don't stabilize, you're gonna fall. So I scaled, we had 11 therapists, we had 8 offices, we was making money. We just out here, TikTok goals. And I hated it. And most of them hated it. Because I had people that were doing the right thing and the wrong. See, I started to ask, like, this is your role. In my head, this SOP, standard operating procedure, makes sense in this way. This KPI, this key performance indicator makes sense, but you do this every single day. One girl was like, cut out half of this crap, girl, I don't need it. I mean, I'm gonna do it because you asked me to, but you're wasting my time. So we hired somebody for our phones who ended up doing our onboarding, our training, our first round phone interviews, because she was just like, you don't really care about none of this stuff. This doesn't really express your culture. What I found working with you is, and I was like, girl, really? Ask your team questions. Work is a reciprocal relationship. I need an employee, you need a job and money. But something about this organization attracted you. Stop losing because you're too proud to ask a question or to move a process that's always been that way. And when people bring us in, we do like private label EAP as well. We help people keep their staff. We start asking like organizational culture questions. We start saying, hey, you leave the room, no cameras, no recording, bring your team in here. Let me ask them what's really happening. Because you say, you know, we love the people here. And they're like, girl, we can't stand buddy. He walk in here like a tyrant. He got an attitude every day. He never smiles, yada, 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 yada. What makes you stay? What do you love about what you do? And the same thing for you. If you're a solopreneur and you hate parts of your business, hire out for those things. Like when I became a wife, a mom, and a business owner, like when we added mom to that thing, I was like, oh, I don't do dishes, sir. Like it's not for me. We gotta find somebody to do them. Because I can't hire out sex, right? I can't hire out emotional availability, but I can hire a laundry person. I can hire a dishes person. I can hire a fold laundry person. I can hire a housekeeper. I can hire somebody to wash my car, somebody to wash my hair. Like we can hire some things out. We do it in our lives all the time. Like, well, this is my business. I'm gonna hold on to it. It won't be there long if you try and do it all. Something's going to die when you're eating everything of one kind of diet.
No, that's real. That's real, you know. Being able to, hey, that teamwork, that knowing how to fit into your team, how to serve your team.
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to. How do I amplify what they're doing? You know, how can I be of most assistance to what they're doing, you know, to their strengths, and then they complement our strengths, you know.
Exactly.
So just like that person that's doing all the onboarding, that set the tone of the culture, you know. Right there, right at the gate, and she loves it. This is her lane.
Oh my gosh, I rarely smile. Like people are like, you look so mean, and I'm like, do I? And they're like, yeah, all the time.
It's my resting face, right?
It's my resting face. I'm like, this is happy. This is happy to you.
Happy person.
You're right.
This is me chilling, and I'm thinking about 10 things right now. I'm just processing. This is my processing face right here. All right, give me 1 second. All right, I'm ready now. I'm ready to give you a smile. Yeah, I got you. All right.
Even then, I can't. Like, we were talking recently in a meeting, and one of my clients was like, girl, fix your face. And I was like, is it broken? Because he said to me, my head just went, and he was like, Jess? And I was like, he's like, your face, your neck. And I was like, because what? Huh? And he was just like, you're so funny. And I was like, my natural response to you is, what? And so if I'm telling my clients their emotions or information, we teach them, Marcy's too. We teach her, what does sad look like? What they were like, don't emote, don't do the most. So I'm just like, I'm not going to turn off my affect. And that's one of the things that I think as therapists struggle with, the idea of like having to constantly have good affect. But our emotions don't care about our profession.
What did you say?
Affect.
Okay.
So affect is the psychological term for how our emotions display on our face, right? So when we have congruent affect, this is happy, right? And so my face does not care about the rules. Like we're talking about coloring the lines, like I'm going to color on the paper. That's me following the rules. I might make new lines on my paper, but like affect regulation as a therapist for a long time was a measure of success. And I was always, well, I just suck. No. But my people are like, oh, I see a thought loading. One of my clients is like, oh, there's a reframe growing across your eye. Because what's happening is my brain is processing. Like I'm utilizing all of my body.
So the therapist is supposed to be just like monotone.
It's supposed to be very flat, right? So we shouldn't be moving. But if you're something crazy, I'm gonna look at you like,
yeah.
Because you told me last week you was leaving sis, and she wasn't no good, and da. But today, about that. Well, you said to me this, that, and the third. So now I'm curious, right? And so like in conversation with another regular human, we expect affectual intonations. We expect intonations in our tone. We expect intonations in our body language. The idea that I'm showing with you in your most human, vulnerable state, I'm just like, oh, you were raped? Oh, you got a promotion? You landed a TED Talk? And I remember my first time like breaking that for real. I have never cried in session until last year. And I was in session. I have a client. She's Haitian American. Went to med school, had most of her class was white. She was in the middle of like the Bible Belt, coming from like Lego l'Église, like school homework, like that was the thing. And she was doing all of that to like this very rigid thing. And she's like, I'm not gonna make it. We're in session. She was out for like a year because she was out of state. She comes back and she was like, hey, I need to have a session. We log in and she shows me her phone of her matching to her school, like her dream school. So when you're a doctor, you match somewhere. First choice matched, top of her class. When I tell you, like, I casket, boo-hoo, ugly, way cried, like, on this lady camera, because I was just like, yo, I know what it cost you to get here. And my response was congruent to the thing. My affect was not regulated. Therapists don't supposed to cry. And I've been to, like, horrible places and not cried. But the joy that was like unspeakable and full of glory, Shondo, was like overflowing. And I was just like, yes, sis, like all of the things, because I knew what it cost her to get there. Yeah. Another client recently has been trying to get on a TED Talk, has been ill and trying to figure things out. We get in session top, you check your phone. Pictures of her at her TED Talk. Like, just that, what do you call it?
Gangster tear?
Just one slow
Gangster tear.
Just
we got one.
Listen, because I was like, oh my gosh. And I sat down and I said, babe, I cried in session. He was like, yours? Like, no, my clients. And he was like, bro, who are you? And I was like, I don't know, but I like her. We go together. Right? And that idea of like not having to regulate who we are based on a profession. If you're loud, if you're funny, be that. Your people are coming. Be okay. Like, my affect is always poor. I wear how I feel on my face, on my sleeve. I started making myself, you guys have iPhones? Yeah. So I found out recently you can make yourself a sticker on an iPhone. Yeah. Bro, I'm up to no good all day. All day. Yeah. So literally, everything you said to me, I respond with a picture of myself like, huh?
Oh, you got your own reaction.
It's all me. Literally, because I'm just like, I make all, and I'm embracing the idea that I make these faces, because at one time it was a staple of that imposters we talked about, like the idea of not being good enough, like, because I was not able, like, and I would try, like, I'm talking like Toastmasters, in the mirror, like, how does that make you feel? And nobody wants to hear that mess when we're talking about your whole life. Like, they don't want to hear, like, oh, that's got to be really challenging for you.
And that resonates in my life as well, as far as being an attorney. People have this almost assumption if they don't know me well, or even people who do know me well, but since becoming an attorney, they think I have to be serious all the time. And they're almost shocked that when I'm not serious, oh, but you're a lawyer, but it's a football game. You know, and like even in having those day-to-day conversations, like I guess your affect, your facial expression, right? Like people are trying to almost police you.
Right, because they feel like you should do a certain thing a certain way, because that's what we learn about it. And we stick to those narratives, like the music, like get the bag, get rich, get money, right? And we like, oh, that's us, we out here, right? For what? At what cost? For who? And so I tell everybody, like, I meet you before anything else. When more people come in, I say, hey, I'm Jess, da-da-da-da-da. Let's be very clear. We are two experts at this table. You are an expert on your life. I'm an expert at book knowledge. We're going to come together in this mastermind and put in some work. I don't know more about you than you know about you. I don't know you better than you know you. And let's get one thing straight. You're not broken. But first, I'm a human. So as a human, my affect regulation is poor. As a human, I have a speech impediment. Sometimes I swallow my words. I go really quickly, right? Ask me to repeat myself. Say I didn't hear you. What does that mean? Run that back.
What that affect?
Right.
What was that? What was that?
Right. And
I'm gonna use that this week.
Listen, right? And so being okay with that and saying, like when I do trainings, I'm like, hey, if this is too fast, put a finger up. I'll know what that means. Something's not clear. Stop me and ask me. I have ADHD. So I'll be like, oh, butterflies. I wonder if butterflies have families. Do butterfly parents get upset when their kids go in cocoons? Do siblings realize that their sister was a caterpillar, now she got wings and we're not on the same level? And I'm sitting down here like legit, and I go on tangents. But it makes me such a dope human being. It makes me who I am. No other therapist is like me, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with being quirky and weird and who I am. Because before I'm anything, I'm a human. Before I was a therapist, a wife, a mom, I could talk, I was a human. And every day I'm taking the same human experience you're taking. So if you get to session and my hair's not done, that child ran me ragged. She ran me ragged, and you're lucky I'm here. And I'm in my right mind, right? I was telling somebody, I was like, my husband and I, we gentle parent. My daughter, wild child, is not congruent, right? And so the idea of like having to fit into a box when we're really human, this is a part of what I do. Right? I went to school, I passed some tests. I'm a therapist, right? I got a master's degree, I'm licensed, blah, 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 blah. But I believe anyone can go to school and pass a test. I really believe it. Like, whether you need a tutor, I believe that can happen, right? So I went through an institutional route to get where I'm at, to use my gifting in a different way. But part of my gifting is my humanity. So as your youth pastor's wife, as your DEIB chair, as a nationally acclaimed speaker, as blah, 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 blah. First, I'm human. And that sets the tone. And so I check a lot of folks like, yeah, that's cute and all, but take this title away, I'm still Jessica. Like I think I told you I've been really sick on and off since 2018. I almost died like 3 times. Last year I was sick and out of work for like another 5 months. And the Lord revealed, he was like, every time you get sick, who's there? I was like, my husband. Okay, bet, but who else? In surgery, my husband leaves at the door. When I can't breathe, my husband's like, oh, are you okay? So literally all of that impacts me. You can get in a car accident, 2 folks die, casket, single occupancy. Hospital beds, single occupancy. Therapy rooms, single occupancy. Surgery tables, single occupancy. So why am I letting you dictate my human experience? When I get to the hospital, don't ask me, what do you do for a living? What's your net worth? What was your P&L last year? Blah, 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 blah. Where does it hurt? They ask me about humanity. And so if you can't meet people at the point of their humanity and be a human first, you probably need not be in business, like at all. Because it's a people business. Like we're converting the needs of people. Business is an action of 2 people that have a need, meeting in a mastermind, vulnerably sharing, and being willing to grow, to ebb and flow, to adapt, to be as emotionally intelligent as possible. And I don't mean that in like the buzzword, right? I mean like being like, oh, wait, Jess, you said this thing and that offended me. Like your impact was trash. I've had clients come back and say, I'm not coming back. They've sent me emails like, I was talking to you and you da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, let's get on a call. They were like, that thing you do with your lip. And I was like, what thing? And they'll mimic me. And I'm just like, that has nothing to do with you. But we're taught that like I have to mirror your behavior and show up and match your energy. But if I have a migraine or like life is lifing for me, I'm gonna show up and do the best that I can. But first, I'm a human. That had nothing to do with you. But then being able to come back and say vulnerably, this is a thing. Or like, I didn't like the tone of your last email. I didn't really feel supported. Or like, I feel like I look fat in these headshots. Can we redo them? Like that kind of idea of like, well, the price is the price. Okay, well, I want you to feel alive. I remember my first brand photo shoot. Shout out to Winter Raven Photography. We had done some headshots And then she was like, I'm gonna shoot you. And I was like, okay. I drove to West Palm Beach for her to shoot me. My husband came. She has like, get your makeup done. And I don't wear makeup. It's a thing, you know, like no makeup, no jewelry, no pants, all of the things, because over here in Pentecost, right? Over here in holiness, this is how we roll. But she was like, I don't want to have to airbrush your face. She was like, you're shooting in natural light, like trust the process. So we went, she was like, you want your lashes to pop? She put these little like, and how do these girls wear lashes? Because that one little strip felt like 10 million pounds. I'm in like all day, like just my head feel heavy, right? But she was like, trust me. So the lady sat me in the lighting. We were shooting like by a really big window. She's like, sit by the window. I want to see how it looks. And I'm just like, this is dumb. We could do this inside. Like, she was like, well, you want the most natural lighting. Mind you, I'm suited and booted outside by this pool on the other side, like outside in the open air. Mind you, we're shooting inside. She's like, trust me, it matters. So the makeup artist like, look this way, lift your head. And I'm just like, friend, pat what you gonna pat on there and let's go. And it was like 37,000 layers. She was like, we're gonna bake. I was like, we're already baking. It's hot. She's like, that's something else. Listen, I don't care. All the terms don't matter to me. But I remember opening the photos when she sent to me. I was sitting in the parking lot of Synovus on Griffin and University. And I sobbed. I had never seen myself look like my true self. I was like, yo, like, that's me! Oh my gosh! Like, look at me looking like me! Ah! Like, 'cause she was like, do you? So I wore a tutu. I had a leather jacket on in one. Like, I had my bun. I had my facial expressions, my hand movements. Like, she captured me in, like, stills. And I was just like, how is this even plausible? Like, you've known me for an hour in consult calls. Like, she captured me. Like, my friend was like, do this angle. Like, you know, your friends like, move here. Your friends can capture you. Like, she captured me. And I was like, bro, like, who you hire matters. Like, because I had never, like, seen myself on film where I was like, bro, like, you can feel that this is me. You can feel the goofy, the fun, the smart, the sarcastic, like, in every shot. And I was like, oh, the world needs you. Like, what are you doing? Not doing this all the time.
Yourself.
And that's how your brand should land for folks.
Yeah.
They should work with you and be like, oh my, that's me. Yes, I get it. And if you don't both feel that way, reevaluate what you're doing. Like, if I get a client, I don't feel like, oh, I can't wait to talk to so-and-so. They're not my people. Like, if I don't feel like I'm excited to hear the next part of your story, how your week went, what worked, what didn't work, to reevaluate it. And I've shot with her ever since. Like, when our team expanded, all 11 of us went to Palm Beach. And she caught all of us, like, and she caught every single one of the 11 of us looking like ourselves. And I was just like, bro, you did this in 4 hours, like, for 11 people. I mean, it was, she had her price, right? Her price was her price. But the value that we got back when it was like, hey, my therapist that sees LGBTQ people looks like who he looks like all day long. You know how to jar? One of my therapists. Ade's got tattoos everywhere. And I'm like, make sure your tat show. Put your goals in, like, because he wears gold fronts. And I'm like, we're going to put those in for your headshots. And he was like, what? He wears, like, one of those kente cloths. Put on your cowl beads. Like, show up how we're going to show up. And we were the first brand that had therapists with goals in their headshots. Because it's who you are. Like, at the end of the day, your people are going to find you. Black men want black men that look like black men. Don't be out here with a side part and a Jerry curl. Like, that's who you are, be who you are. But if you are that person, be that person. So everyone who got a therapist, she plays the ukulele. Like, she's our only white therapist, and she's blacker than me. If you ask me, like, she black with a pigment problem. But she plays the ukulele. And I was like, she's like, really? And in her headshot, she's just playing the ukulele, like, because all of my artsy fartsy music, people want somebody that understands them. I didn't know what that was. I thought it was like one of the little kids. I was like, that's what it is? It's like a little kid toy guitar. And she brought it and she played in her headshots. And it's literally, she's sitting down playing, and there's photos of her playing in her headshots on our website. Because that matters. Like, who you are matters. Someone that needs an introvert, quiet, goofy, nerd person is like, oh, look. She has and plays a ukulele. I didn't know what it looked like. I thought it was like a flutish. So I was like, what is that? But it matters. And so I think the foundation of entrepreneurship is be who you are. 10 toes down, chin out, chest out, chin up, and do you.
And we definitely enjoyed you having you on the show. Run that back. And but before we get out of here, can you let the people know how to contact you, websites, phone numbers, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff?
Yeah, don't contact me. No, I'm just kidding.
At least your business.
Don't call me, I'll call you.
Contact the business.
So our business is swsocialsupport.com. It's SW Social Support on all platforms. That's Soul Wellness, Social Support, and Therapeutic Services. My speaker site is justjefferson.com. You need a speaker, a corporate trainer, somebody to come out and engage your people, do any kind of KPI stuff, consultancy work, identify cultural issues in your organization, realize it's cheaper to keep her and really like update your people, and like versus hiring somebody. You have attrition issues, you have issues in your org, you need private label EAP, the company. And if you're a mommy who's trying to figure out how to navigate all of the things, Instagram, Marcy's Mom _, where I just post lifing and just the human side of all of the things.
Is that Marcy with a
matters.
Y or IE?
MARCIESMOM _.
Hey.
At Instagram, it's the Just Jefferson, and the website's justjefferson.com and swsocialsupport.com. Our phone number is 305-707-7977. We answer that phone Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. If you are in an emergency, call the police, the fire department, call Jesus. Do not call us at 601 or 958 because we will not answer. And I mean that in all seriousness. People be like, I called you. We were having a crisis. No, if you were in crisis, do not call your therapist answering service. Call somebody can be there to show up for you. Like that's like in all seriousness, because people be like, I left you a voicemail on a Saturday at 2 and I needed something. Don't do that, because more than likely I'm not looking at it. My admin's out, and my business phone rings to my phone. Text message come in there. But if I'm out with my family, I'm not going to look at it because it's one of my boundaries. So like really, like, and I say it jokingly, but also like very serious, because with the work that we do, when we do a lot of invisible injuries, people might need help right here, right now. Like when I called you at 9:58, 601, you need to call the police, the fire department, Jesus, look at your safety plan, because therapy is a tool. It's not the end all that be all, and we got to make sure that we're really aware that your therapist is not like the one thing. You have the skills and the tools, but if you need additional help or support to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me.
Great insights. You feel me? I'm a human first.
That's it. That's it. That's what I'm mastering first, is being a human. The rest of it's still a work in progress.
Yeah. So the formula podcast with a constant is you. All right. That's it.
Dope. Yay.
Let's get it.
Thank you guys.
I feel restored.
We